Well, at least 5 police sources have confirmed with Fox 13 that the person killed is Anthony Mims, also known as Big Jook. Now, Big Jook is the brother of rapper Yo Gotti.
Yo Gotti made a surprise appearance at 42 Doug's concert in Memphis, barely 1 week after his brother was shot dead in the same city. Although he has not made any statement regarding the situation, the rapper should seriously consider staying away from Memphis. To understand why this is, let's take a look at what happened to Yo Gotti when his rival Young Dolph was shot and killed in Memphis. Yo Gotti stays away from Memphis. The main reason Yo Gotti should stay away from Memphis is that he has a target on his back. There are people hell-bent on killing him. As it turns out, just a few days after his brother's death, Young Dolph's cousin, Paper Route Vicky, took to social media to post a hit list, which included Black Youngstar, who was Dolph's rival. The list, which was titled Get Back List, featured names such as Old Boy and Old Boy Brother, which people claim are Yo Gotti and Big Jook. This could be the case, as Old Boy Brother's name is checked off. Had Young Dolph's people taken out Big Jook, and are there plans to kill Yo Gotti? Well, even from Paper Route Vicky's other posts, you could see that she is serious about getting revenge for Dolph's death. Apart from that, the events that took place after Young Dolph was killed should be enough to keep Yo Gotti away from Memphis. So what exactly happened?
A rapper whose star was on the rise in the music industry has been killed.
Rapper Young Dolph has now been shot and killed in Memphis.
Yo Gotti was not prepared for what would come after the death of Young Dolph hit the news. It's safe to say that his life was turned upside down after the incident. On the 17th of November 2021, Memphis and the entire hip-hop industry was rocked by the death of Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., alias Young Dolph. That day, Young Dolph was in Memphis doing what many people loved him for, supporting local businesses. The rapper was on his way to one of his favorite spots, Makeda's Homemade Butter Cookies, to buy cookies for his mom. At around noon, Dolph drove around Memphis in his signature camouflage covert. He stopped at a gas station just a short distance away from the bakery to put gas in his vehicle. In a video obtained by TMZ, the rapper can be seen filling up his car with gas before heading off to Makeda's Homemade Butter Cookies, where he would be last seen. His would-be killers must have seen him driving through Memphis and tailed him as they waited for the perfect opportunity to strike. After leaving the gas station, he drove to the bakery and pulled over at the parking lot a little past noon. He could never have known that. He was only moments away from losing his life. He exited his vehicle and made his way into the bakery. That was the green light for his enemies, as they also made their way to the bakery. The attackers pulled up into the parking lot in a 2-door Mercedes-Benz, where 2 men who were completely masked jumped out of the vehicle with guns and opened fire. The aftermath was devastating, as the Memphis rapper was hit multiple times. The attackers jumped back into their getaway vehicle and sped off, leaving Young Dolph fighting for his life. The rapper had been hit 22 times, and slowly, as he bled out on the floor of his favorite bakery, his life slipped from his fingers. When paramedics came to the scene, it was too late. They tried everything they could to help, but the rapper had passed on. He was pronounced dead at 12:39 p.m. The tension was so high that there were calls for the implementation of a curfew in Memphis.
Several public officials calling for a curfew tonight, fearing acts of retaliation in certain parts of the city after Young Dolph is shot and killed.
It is worth noting that Young Dolph was gunned in his hometown, Memphis. One would expect that since he repped the city, he would be safe while there. Well, that was not the case. That means that when push came to shove, Yo Gotti would easily find himself in a similar situation as Young Dolph while in Memphis. Another reason to stay away from the city. Apart from the death of his family, or even fellow rappers, the drama surrounding his businesses may be another reason keeping him away from the city. The first incident involving his restaurant Privé was when Young Dolph was murdered. Immediately, heads turned to his #1 op, Yo Gotti. Shortly after Young Dolph was gunned down, rumors started to circulate that there had already been retaliation against 2 of his known rivals, Black Youngstar and Yo Gotti. Some claimed Youngstar's grandmother's house had been shot up, while others said Yo Gotti's restaurant Prive had also been made a target. Journalists were quick to the scene to confirm that the restaurant had not been shot up. However, the rumor caused a lot of tension in Memphis, forcing the cops to take action. Several Memphis Police Department squad cars filled the parking lot of Privé, which is located about 10 miles from where Dolph was shot and killed. This was in an effort to prevent possible retaliation attacks. Luckily, even Black Youngstar's grandma was okay. However, Privé was eventually shut down temporarily by cops, although they did not confirm if there were any threats directed at Gotti or his business, meaning that it may have been nothing more than a precautionary move. However, this was not the only instance where Yo Gotti would get such a scare. Things cooled down for a while as the hip-hop world and Young Dolph's fans slowly started to accept the reality that the rapper was no more. The restaurant was in the news again, as it was the scene of a shooting on March 30th, 2023 that left 2 people dead and 5 injured in Memphis, Tennessee. According to sources, the shooting took place just after closing time at Privé. Yo Gotti bought the restaurant for his mother, Geraldine, who is the business manager as well as the chef. The first thought most people in Memphis had was that Young Dolph's camp had struck. Cops were called to the scene, and upon arrival, they found 2 male victims, one of whom was pronounced dead, and the other who was taken to a local hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. Sources reported that the 5 additional shooting victims, including 4 males and 1 female, were all transported to hospitals in private vehicles after the shooting. According to police reports, the violence was sparked by an altercation that had started inside the restaurant. However, the rapper's attorney gave conflicting information to the press. According to him, the altercation started outside the restaurant, eventually leading to the shootings. On behalf of Privé, they've been in business for 10 years and nothing like this has ever happened at their establishment, the attorney said, which contradicted the police statements that suggested that the altercation took place outside the restaurant. It happened out in the parking lot and it ended up in a shootout. Nothing happened inside the restaurant. Despite any conflicting reports, they were closing, and this happened at the end of the evening in the parking lot. Despite the attorney's claims, a video obtained by TMZ showed a completely different story. The altercation that led to the deaths and injuries started inside the restaurant. In the footage, a crowded corridor inside Privé restaurant quickly turned into an all-out brawl, which seemed to center around one man in a red jacket and another in a blue one. There was a tense standoff between 5 to 8 people when the guy in red slammed into the whole group and someone tossed a drink. After that, total chaos ensued. It's safe to say that Memphis is a dangerous place not only for someone in his profession, but even for ordinary citizens. But all his insecurities stem from his beef with fellow rapper, the late Young Dolph. Hip-hop beefs continue even when one's rivals are dead. And with Yo Gotti being linked to Young Dolph's death, one can see why his life is always under threat. So how exactly did this beef even begin? And how did it claim Yo Gotti's brother? The Memphis rap scene was dominated by Yo Gotti, who achieved national prominence with hit singles such as I Know and Down and The DM. Not only had Yo Gotti's popularity increased, but he had also established his own empire thanks to his CMG imprint. During Yo Gotti's reign, however, Young Dolph emerged as a formidable competitor. Young Dolph founded Paper Route Empire in 2008, and he quickly began to make a name for himself in the industry. Collaborations with rap game giants such as Gucci Mane further solidified his ascending status. In 2015, Young Dolph's popularity and fan base skyrocketed, placing him in direct competition with Yo Gotti, which resulted in a bitter rivalry. Young Dolph and Yo Gotti's feud achieved its pinnacle in 2016, with both artists engaging in a public feud, firing shots at each other through their music and social media. Young Dolph, known for his forthrightness, voiced his displeasure with Yo Gotti, specifically referencing the time he turned down Yo Gotti's offer to sign a record contract with CMG. From Young Dolph's perspective, Gotti took offense at Dolph's decision, establishing the groundwork for their ongoing animosity. Young Dolph's announcement that his debut album would be titled King of Memphis was an important point in the developing rivalry. Many were taken aback by this action, as Yo Gotti had long claimed the title for himself. Despite Gotti's silence on the subject, the Memphis rap community regarded Dolph's album title as a direct challenge to Gotti's claim to the throne. Despite the tension, Young Dolph attempted to tone down the conflict during a February 2016 radio show appearance. He appreciated Yo Gotti's early support in his career and explained that the title of his album was not intended as an insult, but rather reflected the mindset of himself and his crew, who considered themselves kings in their own right. However, tensions rose even more when Yo Gotti's CMG artist, Black Youngsta, publicly criticized Young Dolph in an Instagram video. Black Youngsta questioned Dolph's claim to be the king of Memphis and resorted to threats, demonstrating that the hatred between the two groups was serious. The conflict between Young Dolph and Yo Gotti reached new heights on March 2nd, 2016, when Black Youngsta showed up in Young Dolph's Memphis area. Black Youngsta was accompanied by a number of his goons as they roamed through South Memphis's Castalia neighborhood, reportedly looking for Young Dolph.
Right now, cuz. Castalia right now, cuz. What Dolph at, cuz? Where he at, cuz? Where he at? Where he at right now?
While the two sides did not cross paths during this encounter, it was clear that their hostility went much deeper than a battle of words on social media and in their songs. While Young Dolph had mainly taken the high road throughout the conflict, by March 16, 2016, his patience had run out. Dolph openly responded to Yo Gotti in a series of Instagram posts, accusing him of harboring anger for Memphis rap icons like 3 6 Mafia and 8 Ball and MJG. The feud turned deadly on February 25, 2017, after news spread that Young Dolph had been targeted in a gunshot in Charlotte, North Carolina, escalating the rivalry. Over 100 shots were fired at his vehicle, but owing to his armored SUV, Dolph escaped unharmed. On September 26, 2017, Young Dolph was again the victim of a shooting, this time in Hollywood. Details on the incident were scant as she was rushed to the hospital. Yo Gotti was named a person of interest by the LAPD after an altercation between their entourages escalated into gunfire. However, the Los Angeles Police Department reaffirmed a day later that Yo Gotti was not not a person of interest in the shooting, denying the early reports. Corey McClendon, a Yo Gotti associate, was instead charged with attempted murder in connection with the incident. As the investigation progressed, Corey McClendon was unexpectedly freed without prosecution on September 28, 2017. Despite the absence of arrests, the animosity between the two artists was evident, keeping fans and the wider public on edge, wondering if the rivalry would ever be completely settled. The beef died down after that. However, 4 years later, tragedy struck as Young Dolph was gunned down in his hometown. Who killed Big Jook? The tragic shooting of Yo Gotti's big brother was preceded by various incidents that may have triggered his ops to finally act. Well, it looks like Big Jook's actions after Dolph died and the continued disrespect from Young Dolph's ops even after his demise may have led to Young Dolph's camp finally sliding. One could easily tell that those closest to Young Dolph were heartbroken by Dolph's murder. For example, Young Dolph's cousin, rapper Key Glock, revealed that there is nothing that could make him feel better about his cousin's murder.
Man, ain't nothing. Nobody can tell me it ain't nothing I can do that'll make me feel better. I'm just be 100.
Following Young Dolph's death, Key Glock went ahead to delete all his social accounts on Instagram and Twitter. However, he made a comeback a few weeks later where he posted on his story telling people to stop trying to reach him. "Stop asking me if I'm okay, knowing damn well I ain't," the post read. Key Glock, born Markevius LaShun Cathy, is Dolph's cousin by marriage. Dolph signed his protege to his Paper Route Empire label in 2017 and released the collaborative album Dumb and Dumber with him in 2019. And the follow-up Dumb and Dumber 2 in 2021. A few days later, he gathered the courage to pen down an emotional tribute to Young Dolph. "Damn bro, I'm lost," he captioned the post. "My heart is torn, my brain is about to explode. It hurts when I breathe. Why you leave me so soon? I'll never be the same. You was my left-hand man, my brother, my cousin, my mentor and drank partner." However, one part of his emotional tribute stood out and had people thinking that sooner or later someone was bound to pay for the hurt that he was feeling. "There's nothing no one can do or say to bring you back, and that just eats me up by the second. You was Phil Jackson and I was Yo MJ. Remember I told you I got you back no matter what? I guarantee that," the post read. Many could read that as a promise to slide for his slain cousin. And Big Jook's disrespect did not help the situation either. As it turns out, Big Jook had openly dissed Young Dolph, especially after he died. In 2021, Big Jook took to his Instagram where he shared his discontent over a street painting that featured his brother's op. The painting featured NLE Choppa, Moneybagg Yo, and Young Dolph, and Big Jook did not hold back.
I don't paint no beside two real with a in the middle, man. Y'all don't do that, man. Don't up our legacy. So right here, y'all.
Big Jook had some pretty strong feelings towards the late Young Dolph, but hate towards the dead rapper continued after a mural dedicated to him was vandalized.
Tensions are boiling over across Memphis after a mural dedicated to rapper Young Dolph is vandalized.
But that's not all. As it turns out, Big Jook was heavily involved in Young Dolph's murder. 9 days after the tragic shooting on December 9th, police arrested the first person they believed to be involved in the superstar's death. Cornelius Smith was arrested after a traffic stop in South Haven, Mississippi. Smith was picked up on an auto theft warrant involving the stolen white Mercedes-Benz.
Video of the arrest of one of the men accused in Young Dolph's murder. Last night we told you Cornelius Smith was arrested in South Haven a month ago. Police picked him up on a warrant for an alleged carjacking involving that white Mercedes that was used in Dolph's murder.
Though his arrest and alleged connection to Young Dolph's murder would not be publicized by South Haven police until later, as authorities across the country worked to find other suspects. And on January 5th, 2022, 7 weeks to the day of Young Dolph's murder, Memphis police announced a warrant on a first-degree murder charge for Justin Johnson.
It's a major break in the murder of Memphis rapper Young Dolph. U.S. Marshals announcing the man you see on your screen here, 23-year-old Justin Johnson, is wanted for first-degree murder and violating parole. There is a $15,000 reward being offered for his capture.
Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop, is a rapper from Memphis who is now the main suspect in the murder of Dolph. Fans speculated that he had ties to the shooting once they recognized that the location of the Mercedes-Benz that was used as the getaway car was featured in his music video for Going Straight In. The video was taken off the internet after they realized that they had snitched on themselves. The U.S. Marshals had promised a $2,500 reward for information that would lead to his capture and was also placed on the most wanted list and considered to be armed and dangerous. However, he was soon caught and arraigned in court. A third suspect was also arrested in connection with Dolph's murder. Shundale Barnett was apprehended in Indiana and had reportedly been helping fellow suspect and would-be rapper Justin Johnson evade the police. Barnett was charged with accessory after the fact of first-degree murder and criminal attempt to commit first-degree murder. A fourth suspect, 43-year-old Hernandez Govin, who is alleged to have ordered the murder of Young Dolph, was also arrested. The arrest of Hernandez Hernandez Govan and the uncovering of his role in ordering young Dolph's death changed everything.
Govan asked for young Dolph to be murdered.
Mr. Govan has been indicted and is in custody for being involved in the young Dolph murder. He played the role of the person who solicited the murder.
The arrest of Govan changed everything. The rumors suggested that Big Juk had been spotted with Hernandez Govan, as a photo of the pair together started making rounds on the internet. It was even rumored that Govan was Big Juk's right-hand man. What is even more disturbing were the allegations that Big Juk had put a $40,000 bounty on young Dolph's head. He then approached his right-hand man to look for goons to carry out the murder.
These folks had something to do with it, bro. These folks don't know that Juk put a hit out, bro.
It wasn't long before bodies started dropping. One of the first people to get killed was Govan's own daughter, Ladakash Desto. Ladakash Desto, whose real name is Destiny Govan, was a 25-year-old rapper from Memphis, Tennessee, who was shot and killed on September 24th, 2022 at 5500 Richmond Eve.
Govan's daughter, she was also a rapper, but she was killed in Houston in September.
Yeah, she went by Ladakash Desto, but her real name, Destiny Govan. Houston police say the 25-year-old was shot and killed in Houston September 24th, early that morning.
On the fateful day, Ladakash was driving a Porsche SUV with a 20-year-old female passenger at around 2:30 a.m. when a four-door sedan pulled alongside the SUV at a red light. Police say two men hopped out of the car and opened fire on the women. Ladakash was quick to draw her firearm and shoot back, catching one of the attackers in the abdomen. Unfortunately, the rapper was shot multiple times, robbed, and was pronounced dead at the scene. The female passenger was transported to a local hospital with a single gunshot wound. The rapper's father, Hernandez Govan, took to Instagram to mourn her daughter's death and even blame himself for her death. "I think I cursed you, Destiny, with my lifestyle. I apologize, baby," he posted. This led people to believe that Ladakash's death was a retaliation for her father's role in young Dolph's murder. Ladakash Desto was not the only one who was caught in the deadly beef. A popular gang member in Memphis and a known young Dolph hater was also gunned down.
A high-profile gang member was killed in a shooting in Orange Mound this afternoon. This is according to family members who tell us Joshua Taylor was named a person of interest in the young Dolph murder case back in February of 2022.
Joshua Taylor's life came to a devastating end when he became the victim of a fatal shooting in Memphis. This incident has left family members and investigators grappling with unanswered questions and seeking justice for his untimely demise. But upon peeling back a few layers, one will easily uncover some disturbing details that may suggest his death was revenge for his involvement in a murder. In the heart of Memphis, a city known for its rich musical history, a man named Joshua Taylor found himself entangled in a web of mystery and intrigue. Joshua, also known by his alias CEO Teezy, was no stranger to the spotlight. He had garnered attention as a person of interest in the high-profile murder case of rapper and music executive Young Dolph. In February 2022, Joshua Taylor's name became synonymous with the Young Dolph murder case. The rapper, whose real name was Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., was tragically gunned down while shopping at Makeda's Cookies, a place that held sentimental value to him. The news sent shockwaves through the music industry and the city of Memphis. Authorities quickly identified Joshua as a person of interest in the case. They believed he may have had crucial information about the murder or the whereabouts of the alleged shooters. The investigation revealed that Joshua had a complex relationship with one of the accused, Justin Johnson. It was suspected that Joshua may have been privy to information that could shed light on the events leading up to young Dolph's untimely demise. However, despite being named as a person of interest, Joshua Taylor was never directly charged in connection with the murder. Investigators were keen to uncover the truth and determine if Joshua had any involvement or knowledge of the crime. They wanted to know if he knew where Justin Johnson was on the day of the murder, or if he had any information that could help solve the case. While the Young Dolph murder case continued to captivate the public's attention, Joshua Taylor's life took a tragic turn. On the fateful evening, Joshua became the victim of a fatal shooting in Memphis, and his body was discovered the following morning. Family members were left devastated by the loss, and the community was left grappling with the shocking news. The circumstances surrounding Joshua Taylor's murder remain shrouded in mystery. Was his death connected to his involvement in the Young Dolph case, or was it a separate incident altogether? However, it doesn't take a genius to connect the dots and see that Dolph's death is being avenged. What is even more interesting is that another suspect who was arrested in Young Dolph's murder agreed to cooperate with the feds. In June 2023, Jamarcus Johnson reached a plea deal where he pleaded guilty to 3 counts of accessory after the fact in exchange for his conspiracy to murder charge being dropped. He is expected to testify against the other suspects at their upcoming trials.
One of the men involved in the death of of young Dolph pleads guilty to accessory after the fact.
Prosecutors say Jamarcus handed over the cell phone and identified a picture of his brother wearing the same clothes as one of the shooters. He also agreed to testify against his brother if called.
His testimony may shine light on who ordered Dolph's death and whether it was related to the feud between Dolph and Yo Gotti. Well, if Gotti had anything to do with Dolph's death, then his days may be numbered. And with Paper Route Vicky's hit list being released, he has enough reason to stay away from Memphis. If you enjoyed this video, click on the boxes playing on your screen to watch similar content.